Hi everybody, it's crazy, it's Monday, and it's time for the UPBGE video of the week. Now before I get started, gotta give a shout out to my tuts because you guys rock. To my crazy fam, I love you guys. Now, we're up to episode number 119, and we left off last week on page, if I got it right, page 32 with event management. Now, it's part of a three set. Let me switch you over to here, because we're going over different parts of the code that we actually looked at on this blend file, which is the camera navigation.blend found in your file folder. Hopefully you downloaded the book and downloaded the files with it, and this right here makes it a little bit easier for you to understand what we're going through. Now, what I left off with, let me get back up here real quick to scroll up so I can read off what we're going to be going through. Okay, we went through global initialization last week, okay? And now I'm going to move down to event management, and then internal functions, and then Blender interaction, and more Python. Those are the list of the 5 that we're going to go through. So let me scroll back down. Where's it at? There it is. Okay, back down to event management. So if you're on page 32, look under event management, and we're going to continue on from right there. Okay, so the camera underscore navigation dot mouse underscore move and camera underscore navigation dot keyboard. Okay, that's these guys right here. Okay, this is your keyboard functions. Let's see, where's it at? Get the mouse function, and then you've got keyboard functions, which is right down here. Okay, these are the things that we're going to be working on right now. All right, so the 2 that it shows, if I can find it again. Well, I can just continue on these. Okay, so apart from the always sensor needed for the camera.navigation, which they're actually not talking about the code, they're talking about right here, okay, your camera navigation and your keyboard navigation. Okay, besides the always, which is now no longer there, they actually hooked it to a keyboard and a mouse, so that way you can understand what was going on. Okay. Apart from the always sensor needed for the camera navigation.init underscore world function, there are 2 other sensors we need, a keyboard and a mouse sensor. All the interaction you will have with this navigation system will run through those functions. Okay, so it's talking about the keyboard function and the mouse function, which in these 2 right here are going to be what is going to be used. Okay, if you look at them and you bring them down, you can see that that's the keyboard and the other one is the mouse. Okay, so the always is just the init. Okay, it's what gets the program started. All right, so the scripts.mouse move. Okay, let's which is that right there, the mouse look. No, it's not mouse move. It's one of these 2. But anywho, the script for it, okay, for the mouse move is under 210. So we got to go down a little bit further here. So let's get down to 210. Okay, this right here's the mouse movements. Is what it's talking about. Let's first take a look at the mouse sensor controlling system. Okay, so define mouse.move, which is this right here, define mouse.move. Okay, and cont means controller. Okay, so once you start learning a little bit of phrases, those will actually help you out. So you're going to put in owner equals cont.owner, controller.owner. Okay, sensor equals controller.sensor. So it's basically telling you your sensors, okay, which is these guys right here. Okay, and it's going to let you know that s/ underscore movement is what you're naming your sensor. So s underscore, and then there's movement right here for your mouse. Okay, if sensor dot positive, which means if the mouse button is clicked, okay, and if the camera cam is in orbit mode, okay, then you're going to orbit the the camera, okay, sensor. All right. Else, it's going to do the look sensor. So remember, up here, whenever you pressed certain things, you got certain things. Like if you hit 1, you got orbit camera. 2, you got walk camera, and then you got 3, fly camera. What they're talking about is for the walk camera, okay, is your orbit camera, and then your your orbit camera is what you actually first see off at the beginning, and then you've got your other two, which is look camera, which is you're looking dead through the camera again. Okay, so it looks quite similar to the script template we saw recently. The difference is that instead of activating an actuator, we are calling a function to rotate the view. Actually, according to the current camera, orbit or fly/walk, we will have to call different functions, orbit camera and look camera respectively. Okay, and that's what it's talking about, either orbit camera or look camera. Okay, all right, so Nat. Alright, so the game engine, hang on. Also, you can see that the function gets the controller passed as an argument. Okay, so it gets it passed as an argument as well. Alright, the game engine passes the controller by default for the module when using the Python module controller. The argument declaration in the function is actually optional. So you can replace line 210 of the code with the following two lines, and it would work just as well. Okay, define mouse controller equals g.get current controller. Okay, so basically what they're saying is you can alleviate an extra couple extra lines because your mouse move. Okay, this part right here can be taken out. Okay, because you won't need the controller, and count and put in right here CON key equals that, and it will be just as good as putting it here. Okay, and so this will actually say, okay, all right, so the controller and the controller is the current controller. Okay, scripts.keyboard. The second event management function handles keyboard inputs. Okay, so they're talking about this one right here. Okay, handles keyboard inputs. All right, which goes through this module right here. All right, so this function takes the sensor input and calls internal functions according to the pressed key. If the pressed key is WAS or D, we move the camera. If the key 1, 2, or 3, we switch it. Okay, so either it'll become orbit camera, or it'll become walk camera, or it'll become fly camera. Okay, and of course, you know, a WASD is up, down, left, and right, so it will shift the camera in those general directions. Okay, so that's up in 110. So let's go back up here to 110 so we can actually see what we're talking about here. Okay, so the define.keyboard controller owner equals controller owner. Same thing is you're going to see a lot of repetitive stuff, but things will be changing in these brackets. So be aware of that. It's not all the same. Copy and paste. Don't get into that habit of just copy and paste it. Type it in. It actually helps you learn it a little bit better. You know, I kind of did a little bit of cheating when I first started, and yeah, it didn't do me well because I didn't remember what was supposed to be typing it out. So type it out. It works. Trust me. Now that I've done it, you know, when I started working with it, I start to understand it more. Okay, so if sensor dot positive, okay, and then you get a key list equals sensor dot events. For a key in key list, value equals key and whatever it is. So it's key 0 right now off the bat, okay? And as you go down, it tells you what to do with each key when you hit it, okay? So camera switching will do the same. You know, it has different values. It's going to do the same thing for the cameras. Whether it'll be orbit camera, okay, which would be here, or it would be the front view camera, or top or fly view. Okay? All right, so that's probably about it. Yeah, I'm almost at 10 minutes. So technically, you know, what you're going to be doing with these is you're going to add these in. Okay, you get your keyboard management and your mouse management. You're going to actually be adding these in, put this stuff in, and you're going to pick each one. Okay, for each key, it's going to put it into a dictionary or list. Okay, if G camera is cam, okay, it equals move. Okay, equals move. Okay, if value equals GK dot W key, then you're going to move forward. You're going to move the camera on a certain axis. Elif, okay, which means else if, okay. So in other words, it's not going to stop this from happening. If this doesn't happen, if you hit the W key, then it's going to automatically say, okay, and then you hit the the S key, then what's going to happen is it's going to say, okay, I'm going to go with the S key because you're now holding the S key, and you let go of the W key. And it's going to do that for all these. Now, why would you not put just an else in there? Because an else is a final statement. It will actually lock it and say, okay, you're going to hit W. If you don't hit W, then another thing's going to happen. Okay, and that's the only two things that can happen. If you use an elif says, okay, if you press the W, okay, and then you let go of the W and you hit S, now you're going to do that instead. It's about the easiest way I can explain it. Okay, and so, I mean, that's just about it. And same thing with the camera rotation. Okay, you know, your front, left, and right with your keyboard, but also when you hit the key 1, it's going to change it to orbit view. Okay, if you hit key 2, there goes an elif again. It's going to say, okay, since you hit 1 before, now you hit 2, we're going to go with 2. And since you hit 3, we're going to go with 3. Okay, and it shows that if it's walk or fly, it's going to go with walk or fly. Okay, so a lot of that is basically in for your sensor movements. Okay, so that's about it so far for this week. So let me see if I can do this without messing myself up. There we go. Sometimes I mess myself up. But anywho, we're gonna end off on page 34. Okay, it's close towards the bottom. Yeah, it's close towards the bottom. We're gonna be doing oh, actually, I should just finish that off. Okay, for a world with fewer logic bricks, if you don't want to use a keyboard sensor, you can use an internal instance of the keyboard module. You can read about this in the BGE.logic API section later in this chapter, or on the online API page, and you can go to blender.org and you go into documentation. You can go into Blender and make sure you do for 2.66 release. Okay, you can look for them. They do have that wiki. Okay, so that'll end it there. So we'll end it with internal functions, page 34. Okay, and it's at the bottom of page 34. Okay, so we'll see y'all next week.